Okay.
You're tuned to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partners Show. Look us up on Spreaker. We are on there as a podcast on all of the platforms, and we're also on Talk Radio and iHeartRadio. This episode is sponsored by PloopBags.com. It is a flushable, environmentally sound way to discard dog feces, cat feces. It's fully flushable. It's got a paper comfort layer on it, and it is also made in Florida. So look it up if you're interested in doing something like that. It helps the environment. And we talk about all the time here in the news in Florida about the quality of the water. A lot of the things that happen to the water here is about dog poop, cat poop, whatever that's not picked up on the ground and it has gone into the estuaries and the lakes, rivers, all that kind of thing. So if you're interested, PloopBags.com. Jeannie Roller, we are talking about this OB-GYN doctor in Washington State that so far to date, 84 patients have complained about sexual harassment. Some of the things, you have the article in front of you, some of the things that he's said and done to these patients, it is more than disturbingly disgusting, horrific, on and on and on. And when I read it, they had the opportunity, the powers that be, to suspend his license, and they made the choice not to do that. And when they did that, there was a certain amount of patients at that point that had been abused. And since they didn't suspend the license and they let him keep practicing, now we have more patients that are added to that list that have been sexually assaulted. Jeannie, unreal.
Yeah, he had 4 complaints filed on him to the medical commission in that state from 2022 through 2024, but the board waited until September of 2025 to restrict his license. And so he kept practicing and seeing more patients who would then later file complaints. Mm-hmm. I remember reading about this one woman. She's in her 50s. She was in the pelvic exam position, and she had, he asked her if she enjoyed her sex life and if she had a boyfriend. And then he asked her some other sexual questions. And then he said he needed to make sure her nerves were still intact, and he did some things inappropriate. And then he said that the playground is open.
Yeah. Among other inappropriate actions and verbiage.
Yeah. Right. Now, this woman, she left in shock. And, she didn't know that by the time of her exam in February 2025, that they had already received complaints about him. Mm-hmm. But he was allowed to keep seeing patients. So, it just made her really upset because he shouldn't have been, in my opinion, still practicing. And that's, as a patient, Cindy, how do we find out these things? We don't. We
rely on the powers that be to do the right thing and hold these people accountable. I told you before we went on air, I know a younger child, 17-year-old girl that went for one of the first pelvic exams to a doctor that was recommended by one of their relatives. And the girl didn't, she wanted to go by herself, very, forthright person, I don't need anybody, I'll go by myself. Had the pelvic exam, the doctor, male doctor, used his hands, no speculum, anything like that, his fingers, his hands. She didn't know any different, even if it was explained to her. And it was like years later when she had another pelvic exam by a doctor, that was the right way to do it, and said, I never knew that that's how they were supposed to do it. Right. And she thought it was okay for this guy to be putting his fingers, his, whatever, digits in her private parts, and that's what it's supposed to be. Unreal. Unreal, because we're trusting these people.
Well, and this state allows the commission to take emergency action and suspend a doctor's license.
Right.
but they've chose not to. And the big kicker here is, Cindy, that the investigator, the commission's investigator, was a female.
And I don't understand that. A
So,
lot of times I've heard people saying, and you know this yourself, Jeannie, and I know this firsthand, that you're making this up. We don't really. There's no way that doctor did that. No way. We know that doctor. He's worked here. No way that happened. Why would we lie? Why did 84 women lie? And why aren't, well, how many it was? I don't remember what the count was before they had the decision, the choice to suspend his license and didn't. What was the count then? And then he goes on to get now so far 84 women.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like those 2,400 people in the VA, the Tripler and Fort Hood. 2,400 people. 2,400 women. I mean, what come on. It's beyond mind-boggling.
Yeah. These lawsuits against the doctor is ongoing. Of course, the doctor and the hospital both denying any wrongdoing.
Of course they do. Yep.
So, there's at least 84 women.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, what really stuck out was that a female investigated these initial claims, those first 4 claims. I mean, as a female, you and I, we both know. So, I mean, it just seems even worse that another woman kind of just sat on her hands and did nothing.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Are people afraid of being a whistleblower? Is that what it is? I mean, and that is a serious thing. There are movies, there are stories, documentaries about people that are whistleblowers and what happens to them. So is that what it is? Hopefully it's not that they're so callous that they don't care. If that, in fact, is your job to investigate this stuff. That's the only thing I can think of, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm, trying to figure out how and what the mindset of this is, why you wouldn't stand on the highest building and say, how can 84 people be wrong? 84 women be wrong. Right. How can 2,400 women be wrong? And those women, for that particular instance, said right on national news broadcast, we know this is going to get buried. They're not going to do anything about this. And that instance, they're trying to bring it to the Supreme Court. Maybe that will do something about all of this. How long was it for the ones for the doctor for the Olympic team, the gymnast team? How long for the doctor? We've done so many podcasts on this. It's sickening that we keep having to do these podcasts on this.
Yeah. Well, and the other part is that the hospital had received complaints from patients, and yet the hospital, there
you go,
let him go on. And that's kind of what happened in both of our cases. I mean, we made the complaints to the hospital, and
Well, mine basically was the doctor brings in a lot of money. He's a good doctor.
Yeah.
He's very top of his game at the surgery he performs. Okay, so what about the rest of us, though? I mean. Yeah. I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing. I'm just because of nervous laugh. I mean, this is just so sick.
Yeah. So, I mean, in September of 2025, the commission, they placed restrictions on his license that prevented him from seeing female patients as an OB/GYN. So I wonder who else he's seeing.
Right. So what does that mean that license is restricted? Now he's going to see male patients in OB/GYN? I don't know how that works. But look at all the women. Yeah. How do you get over that? You are never going to get over that for the rest of your life because that's one of the highest degrees of abuse that there is, in my opinion. These are all our opinions. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. The worst one would be if it was a family member, your parent. In my opinion. And then you'd go on to different things like this that are the epitome of what you're supposed to be able to trust. Clergy, police, firemen, doctors, all that. Especially doctors. That would be number 2, would be the worst ones. But it's just, I don't know. How do these women live? I mean, there's no explaining this away. And it's just, it makes you shudder. You're ashamed and you didn't do anything wrong, but try to go get some health care. I mean, it's just on and on. And I really am so sad that we have to keep talking about this, Jeannie, because I want it fixed. And I want it fixed like
Right.
yesterday because it's just insane. On that note, stay listening to Evergreen Media Network.